Hi, I'm Stephen with AlbertaUrbanGarden.ca. Welcome to my garden. Today we're going to evaluate growing peppers in Alberta. Now I've got a couple of different sets of peppers in different growing conditions. And we're going to see which ones worked the best this year. It's the 1st of September, so not all of these are done. But you know, any time now here in Alberta we can have a crash in temperatures. So first we're going to talk about the one right next to me. This is a grafted sweet bell pepper plant, and I think it's the star of the show this year. Sorry, I'm looking into the sun. Great shot for you, a little bit harder of a shot for me. I just finished clipping some of these fruit. So not only did this plant do exceptionally well, it broke its own branches when I was trying to move it. So I do have some green bell peppers. Commercial growers typically sell green for cheaper because they produce early. Most sweet peppers will turn color eventually, but in a commercial situation you just want to pull them as fast as you can. And then this is the purple one. Look at the size of this. This was grown in Alberta in a pot. Awesome. So I do have a smaller green one and a smaller purple one. This one's kind of funky form. So the colored ones, as opposed to the green one, should have a little bit more flavor. So this is a grafted plant. What that means is it's sitting on a rootstock that is of a different plant. This plant was so laden in fruit. This plant is now sitting at about it's about a 45-degree angle now, and it's got tons of fruit on it. This all in a pot. I am super impressed with this grafted plant. Grafted plants, sweet bell peppers are making a permanent home in my garden next year, maybe 2 or 3 varieties. If you missed my video, I do have a video on how to pot this thing. I mean, this isn't even the biggest pot, and it did this. One tip I do have, I ran a bamboo shoot all the way to the base of this, and it runs to the top of that plant. You might want to support it a little bit more because these things get so fruit laden that it is definitely difficult to support all this fruit. I mean, that's insane. That's amazing. I am so impressed with this. Permanent home in my garden. So this is my sweet banana pepper plants. This is the tallest of them. They're all starting to produce now. It's the 1st of September, so it's a little bit late. I mean, these things were tiny little sprigs when I got them, but they don't require any special pruning to get them to do this. Let's get in a little closer and I'll show you what I mean. So they forked by themselves. No need to prune them to get them to do this. They just kept on forking. So it's the 1st of September and they are fruiting. It's just a little bit late. These were tiny little sprigs and they were in the ground, so I'm not sure if we've got quite enough growing season for this particular variety. One thing I do have to mention is the sheet mulching experiment worked exceptionally well. Cardboard is breaking down, but I have not had very many weed problems. The only places where weeds are coming up are around the base of the plants. So this is one of the rainbow bell peppers that I grew this year. I did top these, and I mean they're fairly sturdy. The fruit is coming on, but these are different varieties, so I think they do ripen to different colors because, I mean, the shape of these fruit are quite a bit different from each other. One of the problems, though, is not having it that high off the ground means the fruit can sit on the ground, which is a problem for rotting and stuff. So I'm not overly convinced that getting plants this young is a great idea here in Alberta. One of the things I might say is start them early. And when we go to the hot peppers, I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the other thing is the water. We had a very wet season this year. This is in the Alberta gumbo soil I've talked about before. And it did not allow the roots to progress fast enough for the plant to really shoot up. And I mean, it is producing, it's doing its best, but I think it, given better soil and a little bit better conditions, it probably would have done quite a bit better. So even though I topped these and they got a lot stronger, I definitely needed to support them. These big fruit get heavy in a hurry. And I mean, you can even see in some of these, because they're sitting on the ground, slugs are sitting inside of them, which means this fruit is lost. But yeah, you can see it just toppled straight over. Too much weight for the fruit, so I would either suggest a tight tomato cage, but I mean, in some of the areas in the US, you'll get these plants to grow quite a bit before they set fruit. Here, it might be worthwhile just to sit these up with a couple of bamboo stakes to help. Most of them haven't done this, but this particular one has crashed down, and I'm going to lose the fruit before they ripen. One variety that is doing exceptionally well is the Costa Rica Sweet Hybrid. I grew this one last year. Now the leaves look quite light green. It's probably because I didn't fertilize it enough, and it is sitting right next to a plant that's kind of taking over here and was a little bit better established. But look at these long grilling peppers that it's making. These will turn red and are just delicious. This forks naturally, just like the sweet bananas, but it looks like I'll get much better production. Even out of a smaller plant, I'll get better production. This might be due to the fact that the ones behind here, these sweet banana peppers, are a little bit longer of season to fruit and to complete fruiting, whereas this sweet Costa Rica hybrid is not. So I mean, one thing to look out for if you are going to be buying plants is the shorter season ones. We do have a long season here, but it's not that long. So my recommendation is to look for the shorter season plants here in order to maximize your ability to get nice mature fruit before first frost. So the third way that we have grown peppers are these hot peppers. Now I do have to say that these hot peppers were started in January under grow lights. I used a pruning method to make them splay out because they weren't going to naturally do that to the extent that they have, and they're in a self-watering container. This is probably one of the best ways to grow peppers in Alberta is in a self-watering container. It helps with the wet season that we've had because you do put kind of a tarp top on here. You do have to support them. I did put bamboo stakes on all of them. I lost one pepper due to disease, but for the most part, it did really well. Even though these are overcrowded, the particular self-watering container that I purchased here said 6 plants per container. We did lose one, but that was late season, so that shouldn't have really impacted anything. But, I mean, for 8 plants crammed in here, look at the production we're getting. I mean, yeah, the plants look a little rough, but they did really, really well. I am so impressed with the self-watering container, but these plants did have a massive head start on the rest. Starting in January under grow lights meant these were already actually producing fruit by the time they came outside in early June. You can see the multiple colors. There's white, this one's turning orange, the habaneros, the second batch are going orange, the crimson red on the side are going red. The ones in the back, which are super Hungarian hot, are still white, but they should turn either red or orange. I am so impressed with how these did. I have jalapenos and habaneros below, but they're all green. No fancy color like these in here. So for my recommendations, and what I'll be doing next year, is for my sweet bell peppers, although it was about $12 for that plant, wow, did it ever produce. I am very sure that I recovered not only my $12 for the plant and the fruit, but probably about double that for the cost of those same sweet bell peppers in the grocery store. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grow in a container as opposed to my regular garden soil. I just found that the production either in the self-watering container behind me or in the container that I had the grafted sweet bell pepper in, they did better. And that might have to do with its ability to drain. We had a really, really wet year this year, but it's always easier to get it to drain and to have to water more often than to just not be able to get it to drain. Then you can also control the soil that you put in there. I spoke about this a couple of times before, but the soil is the most important component of all of the growing that we do. I mean, these are in premium soil. That potted one over there is in premium soil, and then the stuff in my garden is Alberta gumbo. It's just not great. And you saw the results. I mean, it might be that it can't drain, it also could be the soil. It's a number of factors, but here in the Alberta Urban Garden, I'm continuing to try to improve. So in the self-watering container, I'm going to spread them apart. I'm probably even going to spread them apart more than the recommended amount. This particular one behind me said 6 plants per container. I might do 4, but what I'm going to do with those 4 is I'm going to prune them. I'm going to prune them so that every time they get about 8 inches tall, you clip them down to the last 4 leaves. That should create side shoots, and you get bigger plants out of that. I'm also going to buy more of those grafted pepper plants. They worked well. When I replace that soil, I might actually even put one in the soil just to see how it compares against one in a container. When you are buying plants, which I did buy quite a few of those, try to buy the biggest ones possible. Some of those in the garden, I bought very, very small plants. They weren't more than kind of, 10 centimeters tall, and you see the result. We had a wet year. Although we do get a ton of sun here, a wet year can really slow that down. So buy the biggest plant possible. If it's a couple of bucks, you'd be much happier, I think, with the results if you're going to be growing peppers here. The other thing is look for varieties that are fast. Look for the 90-day, in and around 90-day production ones. If you get the kind of the 110-day ones, you might be stuck like some of the ones in the garden here that just aren't quite far enough along when fall hits. So look for the 90-day ones. So as a little bit of a teaser, this winter I might be doing a little bit of a project in the basement to do with one of these varieties of hot peppers. And the reason why I did so many hot peppers this year is I'm just trying to figure out which one grows well in my area and which one I like, so that I can ramp up the production. I bought a bunch of different types of seeds and I tried them all. And I got my first habaneros this year. Habaneros, I probably have enough for 2 or 3 years dried up in the freezer. Back to that sneak peek. So what I might do in the house is start one from seed this fall and see if I can make a pepper bush with a sweet bell pepper and a hot pepper to see if I can't make those big bushes you see on the internet, and then see if we can get them to fruit prolifically here in Alberta with that massive head start that they have. So until next time, thank you very much for joining me. If you like this video, please subscribe. Or join us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Alberta Urban Garden. Have a great day. Thank you very much.